I am feeling digitally connected, man.
Like we need to have an understanding of what can happen, what can't happen, because you have to start with some of your strongest material.
Right. You are going to be one of the people that are going to get left behind. It's that simple. You can.
All right. Welcome to the Tech School Podcast, powered by DSDT. I'm Josh.
I'm Mr. Harris.
Mr. Harris, good day.
Top of the afternoon to you too, sir.
Yes, sir. How are things going for you, man? I know it's busy here, as always. It's always busy here at DSDT. Doing multiple things, getting ready for commencement on Thursday, gearing up for your new campus in Texas. Good stuff.
Did nobody tell you to go over the whole outline already?
But there's nothing wrong with talking about expansion.
I hear that. I hear
That's
you.
Positive.
Right.
Positivity.
You're right. We are expanding.
Yes, sir.
And part of that expansion, I know a few months ago we actually had the building in Texas painted. Mm-hmm. So when you come in here now to DSDT, you see the whole building undergoing a face makeover. And I'm just gonna tell you in case you guys never knew, my wife is a huge fan of the color black. Okay. So now this building too will be, guess what? Black. So don't ask me. Don't come looking at me want to know why we decided to change it from the historical brown brick to the black. That was my wife's call, so it is that as it is.
Brick painted black.
Yeah,
it's a good vibe.
Okay,
it's modern.
Okay,
to a degree.
Okay,
yes.
All
right.
We'll see.
We'll
see. You know, I'll be the first one to admit whether or not I love it, or I will be the first one to tell you I hate it. You know what I'm saying? But
either way, you're kind of stuck with
I'm stuck with it now. Stuck with it now.
Paint it over.
Yeah, so it's kind of like one of the biggest things going on here. We had a film crew here last night. Working on another film. I can't say the name of it as of right now. No. But you know, it always makes for the campus to be a little festive. You know, so they came with a crew, I think it was about 50. Okay. And so they did some filming over in the jail cells, and they used the hallway back there. So again, that's always a great time. I have been, you know, kind of looking for our film students, and I say film, digital marketing students, to get back into the, you know, the brunt of going around the school and doing their film. I happen to be a fan of theirs. You know, I see a lot of the works that are coming out of there. You guys will notice with the YDSDT pieces that we have, they film that. They do all of that here. Yep. The quality is spot on. The editing is spot on. Like I said, I just happen to be a fan of theirs, and I'm looking forward to more of those creative pieces that come from there.
And that's how DSDT originated.
Yeah, as a film school. As a film school originally. I remember the days when we would actually take the students and go on the Detroit Princess, and we would film the crew and some of the patrons. And any of the material that the students would make, they would actually give to them for their social feeds. So if you go back around 2016 and 17, spent about a year and a half doing that. So again, I can't say enough, and that's locally, you know, and I just say it for what it is, because a lot of the students in the digital marketing, as was the film, they come in person. So locally, the Detroit creative market, I don't think they get enough acknowledgement. No. I don't think they get enough fanfare, because some of the creative talent that comes out of here is just phenomenal. And so anything that we as an institution can do to help kind of garner that, you know, it would be great to kind of, you know, at some point when some of these individuals get to where they're supposed to be in life, and they can look back and say, well, I started at DSDT. I think that's what it's all about. And I would love to be a part of that journey.
Bingo.
Absolutely. So, all right. So what are we talking about this week?
What are we talking about, Karlos?
Well, starting off, let's talk about it. Of course, as Josh had alluded to, we have a graduation that's coming up on Thursday. September 28th at roughly about 6 p.m. is where you should be. For those of you who are looking to participate, of course, as always, it's going to be on YouTube. It's a virtual setting. So you will or should have already received your invitation as well as your link to click on around that time. So if you haven't, it will be coming again, perhaps even later this evening. So be looking out for it. Now, one of the things that I am wholeheartedly excited about is the fact that I kind of issued a challenge to our staff here because, we remember a few weeks ago when we did the AI Amber.
Yes.
I had this 3 o'clock in the morning idea because I'm up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm just saying, right? That I wanted us for this year's keynote to have Steve Jobs. And everybody looked at me like I was like, huh, what? What? Steve Jobs. And so we will have a deep fake Steve Jobs doing the keynote. And actually, we have a piece, and why don't we run it, Marco?
I'm very happy to be here today with you all. The second is a revolutionary moment.
Hello, I'm Deepfake Steve Jobs, and I'm thrilled to announce that I'll be giving the keynote address at DSDT's September 28th commencement ceremony. Need I say, if only you knew how much went into making my appearance happen, you would be just as amazed as I am.
Okay, now first, before y'all go getting all excited about this, right? Why don't we just go ahead and give a round of applause to our special media, social media, multimedia extravaganza aficionado around here, Mr. Marco. Just Marco. That's all we're gonna call him. Just Marco.
Marco.
Why? Because Marco puts a lot of this content together. I literally went to him not even a couple hours ago, and I said, "Okay, I need something for this piece during the segment." And he put it together as if we was working over at Fox 2 News, Detroit.
Wow.
So
doing Gus, Marco.
I'm just saying. So we will be having Steve Jobs, deepfake Steve Jobs, doing the keynote. Now I will tell you, I'm gonna let you in on a secret because I'm super excited about it. Remember, it will not be just the talking head that you just saw. This is truly a deep fake. And if you guys remember what we did with Amber, first you had the talking head, Amber, and then we gave you the complete deep fake. So you can look forward to something akin to that as it will be your keynote for the evening. So I'm excited about it.
All right.
All right. So moving right along. Josh.
Yes, Carlos.
And I know this is going to be one of those conversations between the you and the I.
All right.
Right.
Okay.
And so you have noticed here recently, going about in the news, you having all these strikes. You have the UAW, the auto strikes going on. You've had the airlines and the pilots. You've had Starbucks. You have SAG. You have the Writers Guild, which just came off their strike. I mean, at the end of the day, as I was preparing myself for today's segment, I got to thinking to myself, why do people strike? I mean, it's just a question that I can't necessarily form a conclusion in my small old mind, which I felt that Josh, almighty Josh, would be able to explain better to Carlos why it is that we have all of these different strikes that seem to be happening almost every day now.
Change doesn't come without taking a stand.
Elaborate.
Sure. If you go to your boss and say, "Boss, I've worked hard. I've done X, Y, and Z. I've done everything you've asked of me and more. This is why I deserve a raise. This is why I deserve cost of living." Can you hear me now? All right. Okay, but again, if you don't take a stand, change rarely comes. If you go to your boss and say, "Boss, I've worked hard. I've done everything you've asked of me.
Mhm.
I've delivered on every front. I check every box. I've done X, Y, and Z. I've gone above and beyond. And this is why I deserve this kind of raise, cost of living, inflation. The chances of you getting what you're asking for, although you've earned it without taking a stand, probably less likely.
Okay.
Oh, the budget. Times are tough. We're not making as much profit. X, Y, and Z from their point of view. But when you take that stance and just, it's time to put an end to this, whether it be a strike, whether you're willing to walk away and they see how valuable you are
Mhm.
or not, or maybe you have to just move on to a better opportunity.
Mhm.
That's when change doesn't come without friction, without a little tension.
Okay. Okay. I felt like you were about to go to Selma, Alabama.
Well, I was just in Alabama last month
I thought
for
you were
the
about to go
National
Martin Luther
Association
King
of
on
Black
me.
Journalists Convention, and yeah, you do have that feeling when you're in Alabama. It takes you back.
I'm just saying.
You remember why we are here.
Yeah. Yeah. You lost me kind of when you said when you go into your boss, right?
Well, I mean, okay.
Okay, so when I was 17 years old,
Yes.
no, I was 17. I was 18.
Mhm.
One of my first
I lost
jobs
you
that
at
I
the
had,
beginning.
one of my first jobs. No, I actually started working when I was 11.
Mm.
But when I was 18,
No, but I lost you at the beginning.
Oh
of
yeah,
my response.
absolutely. And I'm about to explain why. So when I was 18, I remember the first time I got fired. Right?
Okay.
They called me.
18.
They
You're 18
years old.
Okay.
They told me, Carlos, come in. At the end of the day, I don't know nothing. I'm green. Okay, yeah, I'll be there. No problem.
You're a youngster.
I walk into the room and they started off asking me a few questions. They said, Mr. Harris, do you have children? No. Do you have your own apartment? No. Well, that's kind of why we have to let you go, because you just don't have responsibilities as of right now to kind of understand the role that you have here at the company. I mean, I was coming in, I'm gonna be honest. I was coming in, I would go to sleep. I would go to sleep alone, the day's task, and I was working on the line too. And so
Where did you work?
I'm not gonna tell you where it was, but it was here in Michigan, right?
Okay. Can we? I mean, were we talking retail,
No,
hospitality?
it was in a
auto?
warehouse. It was warehouse type work
Okay.
on packaging.
Okay. Physical labor.
Right.
Okay.
And yet I was at 18, falling asleep half the time, right? As I was supposed to be working. But the reason I go back to that is I did not like the fact of someone firing me in that instance. I didn't like the fact of someone telling me what they thought of my responsibilities, right?
Well,
So-
that's
so-
none of their responsibility. I mean, none of their business.
So when you say going into your boss, that's exactly what the mindset is. I don't like the fact of going into the boss. Now, even as you're saying it, I'm thinking now, who's the boss? Oh, my wife, right? I have to go and ask her certain things at times that I don't like the feeling of, but I just don't understand having to strike in order to get there. I've never been part of a union, never have.
Right.
I've never joined any type of association or anything like. I've never been part of a gang. I've never been part of all these clubs. I just don't have that mentality. I don't get it.
Okay. Let's go back to the beginning. In your situation.
Yep.
I mean, whether or not you had children at the time, whether or not you had your own apartment, is really none of your supervisor's business.
Right. At 18 years old,
And-
how do you know to tell your supervisor it's none of your business? Right. It's like you're just answering the questions
That
because
is
you
true.
need the job,
At
right?
18 years old, it might be more difficult,
Right.
more uncomfortable for you to say that.
Right.
At 39, at 50,
Right.
we have no problem saying. I don't think that's any.
Yeah,
of
well, at
business.
50, they won't be asking you that.
No.
I would never think to ask an employee anything like that. Even if we had, a semi-personal relationship, the question wouldn't come up.
The grades matter at some point.
Absolutely, it does.
Okay.
It's just that I don't understand.
Well, Carl, okay. You have to go to your foreman, your supervisor, your boss, at least have that conversation. And in terms of the strike universe, you have unions for a reason. to where you have the head of your union, your representative for your union, conversing with management, conversing with the CEO, et cetera, about what workers are looking for, what they feel is fair, what's a livable wage in today's world.
Right.
So you have a point, you have a person to go to. It's like, okay, I have an agent,
right,
where I have my agent negotiate my contracts with my employer. I express what I want to my agent takes it back to my employer. Same thing with unions,
right,
where
and what
the employees, the everyday person on the line, getting up at 2-3 o'clock in the morning, pushing those cars, pushing the assembly line. I mean, that's what they have unions for.
Okay, and I know I get why they have them. The question is, right? I don't get the whole I need to strike to get this,
because
before I get to the mindset of striking, I go get another job. If I don't like the environment in which I'm working in, if I don't like some of the tasks that I've been given, I'll go get another job. I don't have to sit here and try to get you to change the way that your operation goes as an employer. I don't get the mindset that people take.
Well, not everyone has the luxury of going and getting another job.
Horse puddles.
No, it's
horse
not.
puddles. Go
No,
get another
it's
job.
Not horse.
Go get it. I think I just made that word up. I'm just saying.
Like some Arkansas stuff.
Oh, anybody from Arkansas, don't jump all over him. He knows not what he does.
Man, but come on, man. That's a different kind of lingo.
I'm just saying, Josh, I just totally believe that wholeheartedly, even from when I was young. I don't need to be part of a union or any of that good stuff.
Let me help you out with that. A lot of people who work in the automotive industry, they come from the background of their father, their mother worked in the auto industry on the line. So did their grandparents. So they were kind of embedded into that way of life, that work, that line of work. To where maybe they didn't really focus on a trade school or a university or a DSDT. Well, you didn't have too many DSDTs around 20, 30 years ago.
I hear you.
Okay. So once that's your lifestyle, your livelihood for 20 plus years, I mean, your options become more limited. But that shouldn't mean you are stuck making $15, $16 an hour when really you should be making at least $20 an hour, at least in today's society.
Absolutely.
Inflation is a real thing.
Therefore,
if the big shots aren't hearing what the everyday folk is saying, what the unions are saying, then what choice do you have otherwise to go on strike?
Go get another job. That is the other choice. What other choice do you have other than going on strike? Go get another job. Or here's better yet, here's another question. What if when you go on strike, the employer decides to move the company offshore to where they don't have that problem? Does that happen?
Yes, it does happen. It does happen where they can move operations over to Mexico or wherever. With that being said, the union over in Canada, Unifor, they just ratified a new deal with Ford Motor Company. So that strike has come to an end.
Hey, who's that out there clapping? Hold on now. Hold on. Go ahead, Josh. I'm sorry.
There's also a factor of tier waging, where a person coming in doing the same.
I don't understand. I listened to him the other day. I don't get that. I don't get that.
What part don't you get?
So Josh has been working at Fox 2 for 10 years.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Josh has seniority there. Right?
Yes.
And Josh may be doing the same thing as Sheila, who comes in and she does morning news with him at 4 o'clock, but she doesn't have the seniority as Josh. So why should she be making the same amount as Josh, even though they're doing the same job?
That's a fair argument.
That is the argument. So you are in favor of Sheila coming in day one, making the same amount as you because y'all do the same job?
Ooh, good counter. Good counter.
I'm just asking questions. Inquiring minds want to know.
That's a good counter. Well, no, there is a thing called paying your dues.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Tier wage, that's what the tier system is for, right?
Okay. So maybe the tier wage system, maybe that's more negotiable.
Yeah,
in terms of at least $20 an hour, at least.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
I think the initial request for all of the big three was 40%. I believe at last check, Ford got up to about 20%. Stellantis, 18%.
Okay.
GM 17.5%. I may have those two numbers mixed up, but around that ballpark.
Okay.
Off the top of my head.
Okay.
So getting closer. Look, and clearly, and granted, we're going into the political season. We're going into the election season. But nevertheless, President Joe Biden is in Detroit on the picket line with UAW members. Former President Donald Trump is coming into Metro Detroit this week as well. Calm down. Governor standing by the United Auto Workers. So on and so on.
I get that. I get all of that.
Yes.
I get all that. So I'm wondering what's going to happen when all the AI revolutions take over. Right? Are we still going to have these unions when you really don't even have a job to be fighting for? Because now we really have incorporated a lot of artificial intelligence. What's going to happen? Stay tuned.
Oh, so what are we saying? Artificial intelligence will be building our cars as well?
Yeah, well, that's already there. We have a lot of robots as it is within the factories.
True.
And have been for years. I used to work factory job back in the early
With
90s.
that being said, you make an excellent point. With that being said, the reason why we are seeing history in the making where all of the big three are striking at once is because there is that concern. There is that theory that this is the moment for the everyday working American, quote unquote, on the line. For the UAW, for the big three, to get a fair living wage, because we are transitioning into electric vehicles. We are seeing more artificial intelligence, more machinery in that line of work alone.
Have you heard the theories, and I don't mean to prolong this, but have you heard the theories of universal income?
Hit me with it.
So universal income is basically you get a stipend per month from whether it be the government, corporations, or whatever to basically meet your minimal living expenses.
All right.
Right. There is no work for it. You simply just get it because you live there. Now, this isn't the first time that I've heard that this has been proposed. I mean, there's been, I think, upwards of 60 different occasions that it has been implemented in other governments. And so it's even being proposed in Canada, I believe. And so basically the premise is that whether or not you go to work or whether or not you strike or whatever, if the livable wage is $7,000 a month, you get that anyways as your basic to meet those necessities. So to me, that does away with
where do we see that? Where does that occur?
Where does it occur?
Yeah.
Okay, we would have to pull up the charts, but we'll have a conversation specifically about that next week.
Okay. Fair
All right.
Good deal.
So we want to talk about universal, and maybe we can bring on an expert to even discuss it with us.
To be continued.
Absolutely.
And it's called universal
income.
Universal income.
Universal
Okay.
income.
Yeah.
All right. Why don't we get Amber on here to kind of lighten up my mood?
Hey, you wanted to talk about this.
I'm just saying, we gonna get Amber. Let's. Get Amber.
Look, it's only a big national story.
Yeah, I still don't get it. And I see it taking over Fox too.
The middle class.
Miss Boone, what's going on today?
How are you guys?
I don't know.
We'll let you lighten the mood for us.
Listen, Josh about to put me on strike up in here. I'm just
Look, he got me into my newsman mode. I mean, he wanted to talk about it, Amber.
He went there too, didn't he? He went there. Took me across the bridge in Selma. How you doing today, ma'am? I'm sorry, I apologize.
Nope, it's all good. I'm good. I'm great.
You're absolutely great. So why don't you bring us up to speed with what's going on in tech news this week?
Yes, so TikTok is going to start showing you Google search results, which is interesting because we talked about before how TikTok is very much becoming its own search engine. But Google is finding that it's so much so that when somebody wants to find, a good place for lunch, they're not going on Google Maps and looking for lunch, at least not the, Gen Zers. They're going on TikTok and looking. So now to work together, you might find yourself getting a Google link on TikTok when searching. which is very interesting.
That's weird. That's weird, right? First of all,
it's a little weird, and they're also starting to test out Wikipedia links as well, which I have not yet seen it when I'm searching something. So I'm interested to see what it looks like and how it works, because right now, if I'm searching on TikTok for something, it's because I want to see a video of a person talking about what I'm searching for, not because I want to link to something.
okay.
That's, but I might change my mind. I don't know. Like, I don't, if it's all right there and I could choose a video and then I can go check out a link and I can bounce back and forth, maybe that would be good. I'm not really sure, but I'm interested to see this roll out and see how people are using it.
Okay, the question that's lingering in my head at the moment is TikTok trying to change what it is or expand upon it? I mean, it just feels like two different energies, two different vibes.
Yep.
Where TikTok is what
Yep.
it is currently,
Yep.
and now you want to incorporate Google Maps, Wikipedia.
Well, not maps. It would be a link, which yeah,
Okay,
you're right.
Google link. But you got me with the Wikipedia. Like, wait a minute. Like, okay, now we're borderline doing some research here on whatever the case may be. And I never thought about that in regards to TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, TikTok is trying to be the one-stop shop. So if they can include Google search results right within the app, and I'm imagining if they're including it in the app, they don't want you to leave the app to go follow the link. When you open the link, it's going to open it right there in the TikTok app.
Oh.
So you stay in the app longer. So I think it's trying to expand its services and be the all-encompassing one size fits all tool for everything that you need.
So that to me is kind of like the point, right? So if they're able to collect all that data within the app, because we already understand that whatever the platform is right now, data is gold. And everyone is in a race to collect as much data as possible. So why would they send you to the Google search engine outside of
is data
TikTok?
Becoming a depleting asset or something?
Not a depleting, that is the asset.
Okay.
Right? There's nothing that you're going to have more of as digital currency than your data.
I guess I was wondering, like, are we running out of data?
Never. You're creating more of it every opportunity you get. And so they're trying to collect more of it to be able to perhaps advertise to you. So it's another mechanism to be able to offer their advertisers. So I could see where that would be probably one of the bigger plays for them. So I get it. I'm interested in this one too.
Yeah, because Zuckerberg is always trying to copy. They're always going back and forth. But so now Meta is expanding its verification program to businesses, which we know Twitter, aka X, did long ago, and allowing to businesses to verify their business on Twitter. But now Meta is allowing you to do it. And the major difference here is that it's going to be a lot more accessible for small businesses, because Twitter is $1,000 a month for their business verification. Google is the same.
How much? What? Hold on, back up. Don't roll over that. How much is it for a business to be verified?
On Twitter, $1,000. Businesses have to pay $1,000 a month.
Oh, $1,000 for what now?
For a base subscription. And then, so the base subscription. It's a base subscription for, I don't know what the number, like how many verified accounts are included within that, but I do know that it's $50 additional per month for every affiliate account to that business.
Somebody go dig the darn movie The Social Network out of the rubble and play it for Mark Zuckerberg. I recall the character saying,
this is Elon doing this.
Elon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm done with you.
I didn't know it was 1,000.
Yeah, for the business, yeah, but so Meta, they're charging the same price to businesses that they charge to regular everyday users. So it's going to be a lot more affordable for smaller businesses.
But I get it too, Amber, because isn't this like another way for them to be able to increase their profit?
It's slightly more. It's $34.99 per month if you do Instagram and Facebook, and I think for a regular user, it's $24.99 per month if you do Facebook and Instagram verification.
So again,
so it's $34.99 on Meta.
For Meta, it is. Yes.
Okay, that makes more sense. And for X, it's $1,000.
Yes, for the base subscription.
My business would never be verified. I'm just saying.
I thought the
I
goal,
still
for-
don't
I
know.
thought the goal was to improve Twitter, now X. It's just becoming more and more
So
complicated.
I don't necessarily see it as them trying or him trying to improve it, where other than
make it more profitable.
making it more profitable.
Who's paying $1,000 a month?
Apparently, there are those that have, as well as, and it's worked so well that Mark is saying he can do it. Think about it.
He's only charging $34.99 a month.
Regardless, they had never done this before in the history of these platforms. So now they see that as another opportunity for them to be able to increase their margins. I mean, am I wrong? Am I wrong, Amber?
I can rationalize a monthly subscription of $34.99 a month versus $1,000 a month.
Well, you're not a company, Josh.
So what's interesting is, they've always talked about, there's always been rumors of these platforms charging for access. And funny enough, on my Facebook memories yesterday in 2011, so that was 12 years ago as of yesterday, I posted a status that Facebook is not going to start charging you. Stop sharing that. Stop worrying about it. Mm-hmm. And so I shared it on my memories. Like, that did not age well.
So you got kind of caught up with one of your past
In my
predictions.
defense, though, it was 12 years, 11 years that they started charging. So for 11 years, yeah, they weren't charging. But I think you got to think in the 11 years that have passed since that statement, which was very true at the time, there was no way they were going to charge for users. And even now, they're not charging you to access the platform. They're charging you for this added protection. They're charging you for this added features that I've had it for almost a month now, and absolutely waste of money. Like, there's no added benefits, in my opinion, at all. And they say, well, nobody can, impersonate you. And I'm just like, no one's tried so far that I know of. So I think I could go without paying $25 a month.
But
for businesses, I definitely think, because in addition to just having the little check for businesses, they will now show up in a suggested verified business feed. So like on your Instagram, if you're scrolling, you'll see a carousel of suggested verified businesses. So you'll get a little bit more exposure. It's supposed to help boost you in the algorithm. From a business standpoint, I can see why it might make sense. And for a business, for most businesses, $35 a month really isn't that bad.
Hey, so listen. So now
that makes more sense.
So here's a strategy. Once they have all these verified accounts within the platform, I, as a digital marketer, now have access, and I'm willing to pay to get access on the platform to these verified companies, because I may do business to business, whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. So I see another play happening down the road with this. So
absolutely.
As always, only the beginning.
Yeah. All right. And lastly, since we're talking so much about Facebook, what happened at Facebook?
Yes. So Facebook is going to be rolling out multiple personal profiles feature. Now, I know people who have like 6 different Facebook pages already as it is, but now the same way that if you manage multiple business pages, you can toggle back and forth between them while being logged into one kind of major hub. You can do that with personal profiles. So if I say, you know what, I'm like a big bookie. Like, I love reading. I'm part of book clubs. I want to talk about nothing but literature, reading, the best new books, like all of this. And I don't want my tech friends or my turn-up friends or my travel friends to see all of my book talk. So I'm going to have Amber's books or whatever. I'm going to have my own personal profile where I only am connected with other book readers. And then I'll have my Amber travel account where I only talk to people who travel or whatever. It's kind of like, I don't know. A lot of people, I think, are going to find this valuable because people already do it. And now just being able to be logged in under one hub and manage those profiles. That way, your work friends aren't going to see your personal side, and your, immediate friends and family don't necessarily have to see your social side, which thank God, because I got some, listen, I have a lot of my daughter's friends on and I'm like, even though y'all are adults, y'all are still children to me. I don't want to see none of that you're posting.
That's right.
Please take me off that part of the list.
Right. I'm still trying to figure out, what are turn up friends? I heard you use the phrase. I've never heard of turn up friends. What are those?
That's the friends that you turn up with. Like if you're trying to go out and get crazy and turn up.
Oh, okay. Turn
Yeah.
up. I'm like, turn it up then. Turn it up.
Like
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I think about this all the time. If I were to have like a big birthday party or something, I have my friends, I have different circles for everything. And it's always interesting to me, like, how would that play out if I invited them all to be in the same place?
Oh my.
So I think about like how that would work, you know, with something like this. So, okay, and this, you can keep everybody separated, which a lot of people do in real life anyways. A lot of people keep their work friends separate from like the people they grew up with, separate from the people that they work or
I do. I mean, I think you're right. Absolutely. For my 50th, it was kind of like that. I kind of convened everybody in the same locale. The turned up friends, the hostile friends, the professional friends, they were all there. And they got along pretty well, I think.
Yeah, I think it's a lot. Like for me, it's in my head. I definitely want to do it. I definitely feel like one of these big birthdays, I'm gonna have a party and like we're all gonna get together and see what happens.
I think that's easy for a celebration because we're there for a common reason. We're there to celebrate Karlos.
That's right.
We'll be there to celebrate Amber, so on and so on.
Absolutely.
Now, it could be interesting if you're just saying, let's all get out for one night and turn up and see what happens.
Yeah.
That's a different conversation.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen.
I think
probably should avoid it.
Yeah. I agree. And I think that this feature is going maybe even help reduce some of the hostility on Facebook, because you got to think like, for instance, sometimes I'll post something and I'll have a friend comment on it. And then another friend they don't know the relationship that I have between this person. So they might make a joke or something. I got somebody trying to come into my defense and I'm like, whoa, this is neutral ground. We are all good here. Like, it's okay. And so I think that this might hopefully eliminate some of that.
Yeah, I think Facebook needs a bully button. I'm just saying. Stop bullying me, people. Amber, thank you once again for coming this week and letting us know if everybody wanted to follow you on Facebook, Meta, whatever it is, and specifically on TikTok. Please tell them where they're going to get you at.
Get Real with AB.
Get Real with AB. Thank you, Amber, and we look forward to having you back next week. All right.
Thank you so much.
Oh, well, that's a lot going on in social media in the world this week.
To make more money.
Yeah, I saw that one coming. I saw that coming. You know, I just think that it's another play for them to be able to monetize what it is they're doing. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Right.
And once you see the competition doing something similar.
Yeah. But if you pay $1,000 to get your business blue checked, and at the end of the day, that information is then sold to a third party to have access to you because my account is checked. That's crazy. And I wonder what the platform would go for. Would it be 50,000? Because I remember when Snapchat first began allowing you to advertise on that platform, you had to spend at least 50,000. And it's nowhere near that now, but that was the initial stage of it. So we're about to have come into the conversation. Now, on the heels of the hacker events that took place over the last couple of weeks with MGM and I think Little Caesars, we at DSDT had a scenario, if you will, in which our infrastructure manager sent out a bogus email, a phishing email to the entire staff.
Yeah.
And it was one, so that we can begin to be trained about things that we shouldn't be doing, and two, to find out who in fact would be the ones that needed the training. And so based on that conversation, I wanted to bring him in today so that we can talk about some of what we as organizations need to be doing to kind of make sure that the MGM scenario doesn't happen to us. Now, because if you remember, and I probably should have him explain if he really knows about what happened in that incident. So why don't we go ahead and bring on Mr. Joe King to the show. Mr. King, how are you today, sir? You're looking great over there too.
Yes, sir.
So Joe, I first want, you know what? I don't even think you can do it justice by yourself. So why don't we have our other staff members come on so we can have a conversation about what it means? Absolutely. So we're going to be bringing on Mrs. Paula and we're bringing on Mrs. Hunter. How you ladies doing today?
Good. How are you?
All right. Yeah, I see Marco didn't want to give you guys a round of applause, so why don't we just go ahead and do that? I'm just saying. All right, so Mr. King, can you kind of explain to us the training that we're going to be up for as it relates to the phishing attempt that you orchestrated?
So the phishing attempt I orchestrated was a program that will basically test people with stuff they should be looking for when it comes to phishing emails. When I craft these phishing emails, I make them look as similar to an email as you might be expecting, but different enough that you should notice some red flags before you start clicking on things, or especially before you provide your credentials to an unknown third party.
Okay, and so why are these scenarios needed?
The unfortunate reality of the biggest threat to the cybersecurity of any business is the users. It doesn't matter how good your network is or how good your antivirus is, anti-malware is. If some user clicks on a link, opens the file, gives their credentials, they've given the keys to everything to get around all of your preventions.
So when you say users, are you speaking specifically about those that are members of the organization, employees, or whatever have you?
Most commonly, yeah. It's possible that lower end users could present some kind of security risk, but typically it's the employees, the faculty, especially the higher ups you have to worry about.
Oh, the higher ups. He said it's the higher ups you have to worry about. All right. So explain to us what I am looking at. This is a copy of the actual message that was emailed to everyone on staff.
And this is what Joe set up, right?
Absolutely. This is what Joe set up. And nobody knew. And the reason this is so important to me is because I didn't even know he was doing it.
Oh.
You know, no one in the organization knew he was doing it, but he.
Okay, so Joe, walk me through the thought process. You hear about this hack over at MGM. What do you do? What led up to you sending out this fake email, if you will?
So this is not, it's not a knee-jerk reaction to the MGM thing. It's something I do. The main reason I do it is, again, people fall for it. This isn't my only IT job. I have another IT job as well, where I do these things all the time. And you got to be careful because you never know. It could be the 22-year-old kid right out of college. It could be the CEO who's 76 years old and just doesn't know computers that well. I've literally caught people from all aspects giving their credentials from the CEO on down. So it's something you always have to be wary of, especially in a place like a school where you have federal regulations for the data. You always got to keep an eye on this thing and test it often enough that people remember to pay attention, because no one wants to get caught. You click on the link, you see the thing pop up that gives you the training because you clicked on the link and you feel foolish. No one wants to feel that.
Ladies, did you hear that? He said no one wants to get caught.
No, absolutely not.
All right, so first I want to ask, because in talking with Joe, he kind of exposed 3 individuals who had a problem with this email that was sent out. So 2 of those individuals are here with us now. That would be Mrs. Paula and Mrs. Hunter. Can you guys kind of walk us through the steps of your train of thought as to how you got caught up in this elaborate hoax?
Oh, I can start first if you want. Okay. So my first thought was, Microsoft email sent me, this is something I've seen before. Fine. Quarantine, well, this is odd. Okay, well, just go ahead, because obviously you work with a lot of individuals from outside the organizations that you get sent a lot of emails from some very weird but very real email accounts. So my thought process was, okay, one of my students must have used some really inappropriate email account to send me an email. So let me see if I need to release it from quarantine. Of course, as soon as I click sign in, I realized it's asking me for all these credentials. And I'm like, this is probably wrong. So I go back in the email and I'm like, okay, what is wrong with this email? and I see the email address being from prizewings.com. And of course, the O button went off, and I get the email saying, hey, this is a phishing test. And I'm like, of course, I failed the phishing test.
You can do it!
Yeah, you caught it afterwards. Okay, Hunter,
Yeah.
Hunter.
Yeah.
And so he just said, he just said that whether it's the CEO or the 22-year-old that's fresh out of college, everyone falls for it. So I don't know how old you are, but I'm gonna say you're at the lower end of that.
Fresh out of college.
Are you what?
I'm the 22-year-old fresh out of college.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know. So can you explain to us how you got caught up in this elaborate hoax?
Yes, Paula's explanation makes her sound a lot more intelligent than mine. It's gonna make me sound. Okay, so I get sent a lot of emails just like Paula does. And this was around the time when I was getting sent progress reports, and that's a big part of my job. So I'm like, oh my God, if I don't do this, I'm not gonna receive these progress reports. That's gonna put everyone behind. So, I moved forward, and where I feel like the average intelligent person would not put in their credentials, I did do that. But now I made a list of things to look out for, so now I'm going to be smarter.
So I can say this morning was the first time that I actually saw this email, because he sent them to the .edu emails, because we have two sides of the house here.
Yes.
And I am normally in the .tech. So I would have never got it anyways. I'm just saying, so to my own surprise, when I looked at it, the first thing that I did was what Paula just said. I looked at the email address.
Yes.
The email address says account at prizewings.com. And even as I sat and I was speaking with Mr. King, he said, okay, so you know that, right? Because that's the first sign to tell me don't click on this, right? Now, I did have an incident with the Bay Good, Beyonce's foundation, where I thought that it was a phishing attempt.
Because we're only using the name Beyonce. I mean,
right,
like,
right.
oh, this is too good.
What do you mean you want to give us $100,000 for students? No, nobody wants to give anybody $100,000, right? Until they actually want to give you $100,000. So it's as if you can trust nothing and question everything. Am I right to think that, Mr. King?
Absolutely. I always say, if you're ever unsure and it seems like a company you actually work with, go to the website directly and log in. Don't click links you don't trust.
So what advice for those business owners out there, for those hunters and Paulas that would be listening to this at a later time, what advice would you have for them? As I'm sure a number of these attempts are going to be done on a daily basis. I mean, because I see within the quarantine section of Microsoft, in which they are starting to quarantine some of these emails that are coming through. What would you say to them in order that they wouldn't get these type of exploitations in-house?
It's going to happen. Phishing is one of the most prevalent forms of cyber scams at the moment. It's estimated like 3.5 billion scam emails are sent a day. So these are going to happen. The most important thing is training. Make sure your people know what to look for. Make sure they're prepared for it, and know not to click or download things that they don't expect to come.
John, Joe, excuse me, Joe, with that being said, how often do you conduct these types of exercises?
I typically conduct them myself. I've been doing it quarterly with my other companies. I intend to do roughly the same thing here. I'd like to keep it often enough that people are on their toes and worried about getting caught, but not too far out where they get relaxed.
And hey, if you get caught, it's not a shame on you. It's more so a reminder.
Get the training opportunity.
Yes.
Yeah. And we make it as lighthearted as of right now as it is, but let's be fair in all seriousness. I think one of the biggest takeaways that he said is that we deal with a lot of personal information on a daily basis here. It's all the more reason why along the way we've changed our systems to where certain individuals within the organizations don't have access to information.
Yeah.
And only those that are on a need to know basis actually need it.
I mean,
right?
in my job, where we have to change our password annually, like just certain steps, like, oh my goodness, why are we going through this time and time again? It is for that protection.
Absolutely.
To keep the hackers at bay as much as possible.
Yeah, because you never know how it's going to affect you as well as the organization once it happens. And you have to kind of, I don't know, Joe, am I wrong with having the mentality that it can happen?
It absolutely can happen. People are constantly trying to make it happen. You have to be ready to prevent it from happening.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, ladies. Joe, can you tell us a little bit about the program that class that you teach here? Bye.
Currently, I'm teaching Linux and Cloud Plus.
Okay.
Which are very useful in the current setup because almost everything's going to the cloud. So you want to make sure you're ready for the cloud basics, how to set things up, how to make them work. And Linux is the most prevalent operating system used in the internet. So it's very important to understand how that works and to make it run and get your servers running reliably.
Okay, so how does Linux work? I mean, break it down for me a little bit more.
Linux is the operating system that most people either don't know exists or have no idea how to use.
Bingo.
Terrifying to a newbie. Once you start learning how to use it, the biggest advantage of Linux is it's very simple. Linux's Apache server is what almost every website on the internet is made in. The reason it's done like that is it is stable. These things typically don't go down. Everything in Linux is open source, so everyone can see it. So there's no hidden stuff hidden in there, that malicious codes and whatnot typically. The CIA and the NSA are actually active contributors to Linux to make sure it stays as open and secure and stable as possible. So it's very important. It's tricky to learn. I always call it one of the hardest classes we have because I'm going to hit you with a whole bunch of commands and acronyms and stuff you never saw coming. But once they start getting the flow of it, it starts making a lot more sense. And also it's built on Unix, so it helps with Mac stuff, and Android and iOS are all built on Unix. So it's rooted in almost everything. You just don't know it's there.
Now, see, this is exactly why I wanted him to come on to have this conversation today, because as I was explaining to him earlier, there's only so much that Josh and I can do to kind of have these.
The experts.
I'm absolutely not. I don't know the first thing about Linux being the simplest and being the best, and the CIA, and I don't know nothing about that.
I needed the dummy notes just now.
And yet he is definitely the geek within that information, you know? And so what I love to say is that I have a lot of experts around me to be able to disseminate this information to our students.
Yes.
And I need them to come and show face at times so that these students know that it's credible and the information is reliable. We're in the process of solidifying a deal where we're going to be having high school students that do dual enrollment with us. And I need for those students to be as prepared as some of the olders that are looking for the employment opportunities.
Will the high schools be selected, or can they apply? How will that work?
Nah, that's all being hammered out. I don't want to speak specifically about the institution until we ink everything on the deal.
Got it.
But it definitely is, it's going to happen.
Okay.
It's going to happen. And so, but again, Mr. King over here will be one of the instructors in the program. And, you know, when you walk into his room, I mean, I can't even, how many certifications do you have?
14 so far.
Did you hear what he just said? Hold on a minute.
You can do it!
14 certifications.
So far.
So he said so far.
17. I'm wrong.
I'm sorry.
17.
He has 17.
So far.
If you don't stop it.
Listen to that.
If you don't stop it. So when you're sitting and you're listening to someone that knows how to take these tests and how to prepare for these tests, which you ultimately have to do in order to get those certifications, then you want to be talking to someone the likes of a Mr. King. Because Carlos can't tell you. I can tell you first thing. I've never taken one of them. First one to tell you.
Same here.
You sure? Josh, you haven't taken one?
One what?
One test. One certification test. One? Not even a certification test, Josh.
He does the ACT. No. I mean,
ACT.
No, I mean, I'm certification test. Yeah, you don't be certified as a journalist. You need to learn how to become one.
Right, but at the end of the day, we have instructors that are certified
Right on,
exactly in everything that they teach, and I think that's probably the greatest takeaway about being here at DSDT. So, definitely want to thank Mr. King for taking out a moment because I know he has to get back to class, as well as Paula and Hunter, and coming in today to kind of express how they got caught up in this whole phishing hoax. And I would say that I'm looking forward to the upcoming ones, but I'm not, because I can guarantee you they're going to get more elaborate, which means that more individuals may fall victim to it. Maybe we ought to impose some sort of, I don't know, like a penny jar or something. What do you think about that, Mr. King?
I suppose you could do that, but they do get imposed with multiple trainings if they fail, so they're already getting their desserts.
Well, all right. Well, Mr. King, I definitely want to say I appreciate you and I thank you for everything. And again, thank you for taking out time to come and sit and have this conversation with Josh and I. And I look forward to having more of those scenarios play out here at DSDT.
I'll keep doing it.
All right.
All right.
Oh, wow. Okay, so let us not forget that we do have a YDSDT segment this week.
I was waiting for
And our YDSDT comes from Mr. Mike Wimberly. I'm gonna let Mr. Mike tell you why he in fact says that I want to say he loves DSDT.
He loves DSDT.
Hey, I'm Michael Wimberly. I'm a student at DSDT, and this is my why DSDT. My experience at DSDT has been wonderful. I've enjoyed the experience with the professional staff and the fun that I've had with fellow classmates. I learned how to make commercials, and I learned how to shoot video. With the skills I learned at DSDT, I'd like to start a job, preferably in an advertising agency, or start my own business. And this is my why DSDT.
And see, one day I'm actually going to bring him on because he has a super sensational, phenomenal story.
Okay.
And I definitely want to have a conversation with him about his journey to get into DSDT and what the future looks like for him after DSDT.
Amen.
All right. So again, Josh, it's been one heck of a ride today, and I'm going to let you go ahead and take us home.
Oh, man.